So could you hear that crunching, Kat?
No, I don't think so. I don't hear anything.
Today on Sound Politics, Kat Smith is our co-host, but my dog Monty is trying to take over the mic with his loud chewing.
Ooh.
Does it work? Does it work?
Our third co-host, our silent co-host.
Oh, he's enjoying it so much. I just can't interrupt. Why don't we take a bite out of Sound Politics?
Nice. It's time for Sound Politics.
Welcome to Sound Politics. I'm Libby Denkmann.
And I'm Kat Smith. It's Thanksgiving week, and we have something special for you.
This is kind of like a Thanksgiving side dish of an episode, Kat. We're serving it piping hot just a couple days before Thanksgiving. A little early post of the podcast this week.
A little short, something short and sweet, like a spoonful of candied yams when mom's not looking.
Oh my gosh, candied yams are my favorite leftover. Which is your favorite Thanksgiving leftover?
Oh my God, mashed potatoes and gravy.
That's the right answer,
Classic.
actually. I take mine back. Our colleague Amy Radel talked to Seattle's incoming city attorney, Erika Evans, and you're going to hear that on Sound Politics in just a second. So Evans beat out the city's more conservative incumbent, Ann Davison. Evans is preparing to get sworn into office soon. She is a former assistant federal attorney, and she is going to be the first Black woman in this city office. She's making history. Evans' tenure as Seattle's top lawyer will mark a big change in the political winds here in Seattle. It's part of this shift back to the left, as several progressives won high-profile offices here in this last election. And they want to make changes, Evans does, to the way city handles drug crimes. She says she's going to plan to be more aggressive, challenging the Trump administration as well.
But, Evans, in this conversation that you're going to hear, she didn't talk too much about whether she's going to be changing any staffing in her office. That's been a big story from out of the county, King County recently. Gurmai Zahalai, who's about to get sworn in as the King County executive, right now, as we speak. It's about 11:30 on Tuesday as we're taping this. So he's probably taking his oath of office right around now. He is making sweeping changes in the county executive offices as he takes over this week.
Yeah, about 100 staff in the executive's office have been notified that if they don't receive an email or a contact of some kind asking for their interest in staying on with the new executive team, that they might have to reapply for jobs, which is shaking things up a lot at the county.
And it makes sense. There hasn't been a new county executive in a long time, like 16 years, I want to say. Dow Constantine was in there for a long time, and so a lot of these faces have been there for quite a long time. So it's not super unexpected that a new incoming executive would want to make some big staffing changes.
Yeah, and we should note, too, that Zahalai is being sworn in as we speak because there was a temporary executive in place. Like, Shannon Braddock was the acting executive, and so because she was not elected, they have the provision to swear Zahalai in a little bit earlier than most of the rest of the city and local officials, county officials. I think it's like totally understandable that there would be shakeups, especially when, as you say, Kat, the last administration could drive, basically. Like, if it was a person,
it had been around for so long.
Yeah, like it had its learner's permit. So
different story in the Seattle City Attorney's Office, where there had been turnover there recently. Ann Davison had only been elected 4 years ago, and now Erika Evans is going to replace her. Because Evans is not going to get sworn in for weeks still, different situation in her office. She doesn't, we don't know if there's going to be that kind of staffing turnover. She's got a little bit more runway than Zahalai did. So even though Erika Evans doesn't have a ton of details to share about how she's going to maybe change the office or implement some of the more ambitious policies that she proposed on the campaign trail, her presence in the city government is going to be part of this broader shift for Seattle, like you mentioned, Libby.
And you have to imagine, too, that it's going to be in line with the person in the mayor's office, the new mayor, Katie Wilson, sworn in, also a progressive. The new city council is overall more of a progressive city council than it was just a few weeks ago before the election.
Right.
And this is different from the moderate track the city had been on for the last several years.
The winds, they are a changing. And there are a few things that we do know that are going to happen. And Evans did, she was able to talk about some things in detail. And we want to give listeners a peek at what we can expect from our next city attorney in Seattle. So our friend and colleague Amy Radel caught up with Erika Evans in the KUOW studios to talk about this new lefty vision for the city and what it means for things like alternatives to incarceration and crime hotspots around Seattle, some of those visible locations at 12th and Jackson and 3rd and Pine downtown. Also what it means for the city's relationship with the Trump administration. And there's a lot more in that conversation.
And let's jump into that conversation.
The current city attorney, Ann Davison, pulled out of a community court program that was run by the Seattle Municipal Court. My understanding is that was an alternative that kind of tried to get at the root cause of a person's offense, and it allowed people to avoid criminal charges. Davison said that she pulled out of that program because it was ineffective and people weren't showing up. You've spoken about creating a new version of community court. Do you expect that the municipal court would be involved? And how would you make sure that people participate and that it's successful?
It is an absolute partnership with the Seattle Municipal Court and also the Department of Public Defense, looking at other models in this campaign trail across the state that are working. Places like Auburn, Tacoma, Bellevue even opened up a community court. I think a huge piece is making sure we're providing the right response to that for folks that are going into community court, the right resources and services that address underlying root causes. And I think a piece that was missing in the last version is making sure also that there's accountability as well. That's very important. And so it's something that we're working through in transition and very excited about getting things up and running and making sure we're providing the right response and actually addressing what we're seeing in our streets with evidence-based solutions and also being good stewards of our public dollars and not just, doing a rinse and repeat cycle and not actually addressing what's happening in the streets.
So you criticized the city's soap and soda laws during the campaign. These laws allow the city to ban people from areas with drug or prostitution activity. So is your election the end of those laws? Because it's your office that has to seek those orders, right?
Yes, and to be clear, the laws for soap and soda, they're discretionary. And as prosecutors, we have to use discretion very wisely. Another thing that's important for listeners to know is that, it's the court can still put a banishment order on someone. That's not something the city attorney has control over. So that can be an order that the judge imposes on someone. What we're just saying, based on the evidence we know about these banishment zones being harmful to community, displacing folks, moving problems around our city, we're just not going to give someone a new criminal charge just for being in a banishment zone.
Got it. So those orders we still may see those orders imposed in the courts, but your office likely would not seek one.
We will not be seeking them as a condition, but it is up to the judge to decide if they're going to impose it on someone, and it's on city council if they want to repeal the current law on it, which has been done before.
Got it. And yeah, I know that prosecutors have a lot of discretion to enforce certain laws, but for the people who supported these orders out of concern over open-air drug markets or human trafficking on Aurora, what's your take on how your office will hope to address those problems?
Yeah, thank you, Amy, for that question. What we can see right now of how it's not working, the evidence is in the streets. We can go to 12th and Jackson right now and see what's currently happening and how soap and soda are not working in different areas. What works is going upstream, going after, the violent traffickers, folks that are pumping in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of fentanyl pills into our streets. Work I've done at the federal level, making sure we're being good partners with King County and the Assistant United States Attorneys going after folks that are trafficking and putting fentanyl out at high levels. And those are the best approaches to actually controlling the supply.
So I'd like to turn to the city's interactions with the Trump administration now. When Donald Trump was elected, I think you were working as a federal prosecutor. Can you describe your decision to leave the Justice Department and what you were feeling in that moment?
Yeah, thank you, Amy. Being an assistant United States attorney, a federal prosecutor, I worked in the violent crimes and terrorism unit, and I was also one of the 2 civil rights prosecutors, and that was a dream job, being able to go to court and represent the United States, and a very serious job. Some of my cases involve, very high-level traffickers that were trafficking hundreds and thousands of fentanyl pills, or folks that are trafficking firearms, very serious cases. And after Trump took office, it was a very clear rollback in civil rights. I was getting those executive orders that were inconsistent with the oath we took as assistant United States attorneys. Being told that our interpretation of the law is limited to that of Pam Bondi, Attorney General Pam Bondi, being told to report on colleagues doing diversity work in the office. That's not the oath I took. The oath is to the Constitution and upholding that, and to the people. And so that decision to leave, it comes from my DNA, folks like my grandparents that were organizers and protesters in the 1968 Olympic Games, and making sure we are always standing up and fighting back to protect our country and our people.
And you said on the campaign trail that City Attorney Davison wasn't aggressive enough in defending Seattle from the policies of the Trump administration. She joined a couple lawsuits around security funding and sanctuary city policies, but she wasn't necessarily leading those efforts. What's the first order or policy of the Trump administration on your radar for when you take office?
Yeah, there's things that haven't even come down yet, Amy, from Project 2025 that we need to be proactive about, and being ready as a city, and not, last minute or right before election night joining things. I think another thing is we can look and be better partners with city attorney's office, like in San Francisco, who I believe has almost a dozen different lawsuits currently. So looking at that and seeing how moving forward in collaboration with other leaders that are leading the charge, we're going to do that, is something that our team is really excited about getting to work on day one on.
And President Trump already sounded kind of a combative note about our mayor-elect, Katie Wilson, calling her a communist. Are you worried about Seattle being more in the sights of the Trump administration when we're seeing the National Guard and Homeland Security operations in blue cities, or even just economic threats like taking us off the World Cup schedule?
We live in an amazing city where we have, rights and values and priorities that we protect. And so if things are going to be coming in to try to threaten those, we'll see those folks in court.
Anything that we haven't talked about this moment and what's going on that you'd like to touch on?
Yeah, the one thing we didn't touch on that I would just like to mention is we're very excited and grateful for what's coming next. And it is going to be one piece of the puzzle, the city attorney. It takes, partnerships with the mayor-elect, the city council, with the attorney general, with other leaders in our state to make sure that we have the resources and treatment. It's a full community and government wide response to make the changes and improvements we've been talking about. So that's one thing I would love listeners to know, that I see this as a collaboration.
Seattle's next city attorney, Erika Evans, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And thanks to Amy Radel for sharing that interview with us. And that does it for Sound Politics this week.
And again, it is Thanksgiving week, and this is the kind of time when you're taking stock and really having that sense of gratefulness for the good things in your life. And for me, part of that is you, the Sound Politics listener. I'm really grateful for everybody who joins us each week. I'm grateful for you, Cat Smith, for co-hosting, and for Scott Greenstone, and for Hans Anderson, and everybody who is a part of this show. So thank you to the listeners who stick with us. And an extra special thank you to the folks who give to Sound Politics, folks like Matthew, who support the show and are part of the donor base that let us keep doing this kind of programming, this kind of conversation and journalism here at KUOW. Thank you, everybody.
And if you want to join listeners like Matthew, you can donate to Sound Politics. There's a link in our show notes for that. This show is only possible because of listeners like you, so thank you very, very much. And our show is produced by Hans Anderson, with help this week from John O'Brien and Amy Radel. I'm Kat Smith, and thank you also to Libby Denkmann.
Thank you, Kat.
Happy
Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.